Welcome to game night as we're gearing towards the next chapter. You guys are having a good night and learn a little bit about Elder Scrolls. Road to the next chapter is coming up here quick on June 3rd. What are you going to do? Get over to castles. We're gearing towards the next chapter. You got to get ready in the castles. How are we going to get castles over into Steam? That's a good question. I'm going to stay with that thought. I'm going to keep castles the way castles looks right now and looking on what can be done. This is some good study, game study here tonight. Learning how the animations go in, and you gotta pay. So go into the elderscrolls.com and pay the one-time fee of $19.99, and more of this stuff will start moving a little bit more fluidly. Hopefully you're having a good night. Hope you're having a good game night as I'm kind of slowing down and getting ready for castles. How is that gonna get into to where we can play on the screen on our Androids and iPhones and the N gauge? I'm looking here really quick with the information that we have for castles, both in Androids and iPhones and N gauge. I'm going to look at the N gauge here. Okay, this isn't going to make sense to some right away. Let's see if this is on the screen here really quick. This is in Wikipedia. This is the actual operating system that N gauge uses. And I've suggested that to GOG, if they want to go in and take over the operating system, this is going to be a great thing for GOG with the Symbian operating system for the N gauge. Going in and getting travels and castles in here. I'm not for sure exactly what happened when the operating system was discontinued from Nokia. I'm not for sure the exact reason of why, whether there just wasn't enough people that were using Symbian. Not sure, but it sure does look like a good system to me. So the N gauge is on the way, and looking to getting castles into the operating system into N gauge. This is going to help us over in Steam, and so you think of like related letters, Symbian and Steam. Well, they have the same letter, but that has no bearing on who is using the actual consoles. Who's using a Steam console? Who's using an N gauge console? So this is some new information here for you guys to look at with the Symbian, to where we can get castles in. I'm going to show you here really quick of the castles picture. This is the most current picture that's available on PC in the Chromebook for castles. So we're looking to get castles in over on Androids and iPhones. If you've got it on your Android or your iPhone, that sure is a blessing to be seeing the game being played. So hopefully you guys are able to play castles. I haven't seen a lot of information on castles. I just have this presented over on theelderscrolls.com because this is the only current information from the current Android that was able to pick up the video for castles. So hopefully this is going to increase the growth for castles, to where eventually castles will be able to get over into the operating system of Symbian. So that hopefully that's the hope, that castles is able to have, or is able to become part of the operating system in Symbian. There's not a whole lot of information. I don't know a whole lot about the operating system because I don't have the console just yet. As the console is coming in, just gonna have to wait a little bit. Once that comes in, then there will be some more information on where we can go from there. So I'm gonna look in here really quick with Symbian because I like working with operating systems. The developer here of Symbian, the developer is showing Symbian Ltd. From started in 1998 to 2008. The Symbian Foundation went from 2008 until 2011. Now, why did the Symbian Foundation? Why was that not connected before, like with Symbian Ltd? That's an interesting thing. It looks like Symbian. What had happened? This is just an assumption of what had happened. Nokia saw the goodness in the N gauge. They jumped on board over in 2010. Took took Nokia about 10 years to realize how good the system actually is. And Nokia tried it for a while, but just stayed in there for a year. Nokia only stayed with the N-Gage for a year. See here, the other developer name is Accenture. I'm not for sure the exact developer on that, but I've heard of Symbian before, but I didn't know a whole lot about Symbian before. Let's check out here what Symbian is, because this is what I'm going to be working with here soon. This is the Symbian OS information for the programming for the N-Gage for some of the Elder Scrolls games in Travels. Hopefully, it's hoped that castles can start forming in the N-Gage. So those of you guys that are getting involved with N-Gage again, if you have an N-Gage console, that's great. Keep it, and you're gonna start growing, because there's very limited cartridges available. As soon as we have the cartridges, what we can do is we can start copying those cartridges, and we can start building the games up. It's an important thing. Instead of just having castles on Google Play, we can have castles on the N-Gage and Steam in the future. Not necessarily Steam, because the Elder Scrolls games in N-Gage are meant to be mobile. It's a mobile game, so I'm kind of getting ahead of myself and speaking about this really too soon, almost. I think so. This looking at this the Symbian technology, this is going to be some great stuff to where we can start communicating through cell phones again. The cell phone that I have, the one of the Androids that I have, the cell phone was given by the government, and the cell phone is not able to receive or send messages. The government has placed a new text messaging system. It's not GPS, but it's it's RCS is what I think the text messaging system that the government is in beta right now with RCS. It's a fairly old program, and looks like Symbian is going to be a great addition to helping us be able to speak to each other. You see what I'm saying? If we don't have the information for cell phones, we won't have the information on how to communicate through the sound box from far distances from each other. Like if you're over in a foreign country, say over in Mexico, and you don't have the proper tools in your cell phone, well, you're not going to be able to talk to somebody over in the United States. So that's what I'm talking about. Once we get the programming correct, we are going to be able to speak to each other like wherever. That's what I'm talking about. Like on the having a paid internet, that's an important part for you guys to understand, to where you can see these types of things. You can hear my voice, you can see the pictures and everything, but there's a transmittance issue that's going on to where the phone calls are not able to be received. Now there's a different form on that where I can definitely see why that's happening, because I do a lot of writing. I write information down on certain things. As long as I get paid, it doesn't matter to me if I have a working cell phone. You kind of understand what I'm saying? Somebody that needs to have something working, another person has to have something else working. It all ties in together. You see what I'm saying? I write in the information, and then somebody that has a cell phone, we use each other. You see what I'm saying? Earlier on, I had the game on about a couple hours ago over on Steam, but I didn't turn on the Steam console later on after I got off of the previous broadcast. What I'm talking about is the PC server went offline along with the PTS. The servers went offline, and you see what I'm saying? we have to be able to use each other. You see what I'm saying? I'm not I don't have the capability of calling out to someone and receiving a message from somebody, but I can send out messages to where that's connection. We all have to do our part, and that's what I'm talking about. Like with somebody latching onto a connection. What I'm talking about is a person that just has a cell phone or a landline. We have to latch on to those connections to where our connections are working and their connections are working. You see what I'm saying? Why we have to pay each month for things in life? And that's an important thing. That's why I also bought the Engage, is not only to learn about the Symbian um, OS, but the purpose of getting all of the Elder Scrolls games, the files transferred, so we have those records. And so, if you want to think of me as like a little record keeper, that's what you can think of me as, to where we have the records kept safe inside of the system. I do believe that the Elder Scrolls games, all of the Elder Scrolls games, should be held safe in Steam. That's just the way that I feel, and and what I believe, because Steam has merely all of the games already. If you think about over an Xbox, if there's a crash over an Xbox, Xbox can latch over into Steam. You see what I'm saying? We need to have backing. It's kind of like if PlayStation doesn't have a backing, they can be backed up by Xbox. Do you see what I'm kind of saying? Where their Steam, PlayStation, and Xbox are different consoles, but yet we're still connected because we have to be able to connect together. You see what I'm saying? The games would not appear the same if it was not truly the same program. ESO is essentially the same program, except it's in different programmed consoles. You see what I'm saying? The information such as Wikipedia, I'm just going to use Xbox, PlayStation, and Steam, for example. We have the capability to put in the information such as words and links inside of the different game systems. Just looking in here, on the Symbian is a discontinued mobile operating system. That little sentence of what I'm talking about can all be transmitted over into each individual gaming console. What I'm talking about is that with things that are different is because the programming is different inside of each different console. The code is different, but the words are the same. You see what I'm saying? We can input the information the same if we want to write in what the game of Symbian is, for example. We just write in Symbian is a discontinued mobile operating system. With that, we can write in all of the information through of what is involved for Shadow Key. Shadow Key is the main game of Elder Scrolls Travels, and so what I'm explaining there's not a lot of information on the other Travels games of what I've seen inside of throughout the internet. There's not much information in the game series Stormhold. There's not much information in the Elder Scrolls Travels Oblivion. There's not much information in the Elder Scrolls Travels Dawnstar. There's a total of 4 different game series of Elder Scrolls Travels, and Castles is starting to build up. And so what I'm going to kind of ask some of you guys, I want all of you guys to actually get involved with Castles. We have to get the mobile networking properly tuned up to where we can talk to each other. It's just not about a game. It's also about being able to communicate to each other. More importantly, if you're in an accident and you need to call 911, that's what this is coming down to, how we have to learn the Symbian system. If the 911 system, if that goes down, we have to learn a program that we'll be able to program to where we can call 911. That's the reason why I'm explaining how important Engage is to buy as soon as you can. If you are specifically an Elder Scrolls player, you might not be able to buy right away. If you can buy right now, please buy an Engage console so you can get the mobile networking working better. What I'm explaining is that will bring a better network for us in Elder Scrolls. You see what I'm saying? Hopefully you do see what I'm saying. This will bring us over in Vesta and Zos. This will bring us a connection. Do you see what I'm saying? Vesta will be able to talk to Zos, and Zos will be able to talk to Vesta. You see what I'm saying? If you're involved with any of those two parts of Elder Scrolls, you're gonna want to have an Engage console. It's gonna be give you the ability to speak to another member of Elder Scrolls. That's the most important thing that I believe that we should be able to talk to each other. Just by having the internet on and checking out Wikipedia does us no good if we can't talk to each other. You can hear me talk about Symbian or about anything in Elder Scrolls, but if you can't communicate to me on a phone, we really can't communicate to each other. So basically, it's a one-way communication where I'm communicating what the messages, what I see, and what I hear, and whatever else is going on. So what I'm explaining for those of you in Elder Scrolls, it is very important that we all get an Engage console to where we can speak to each other. It's very difficult. Over on the Nintendo Switch, trying to communicate over into Vesta is a very difficult thing. I'm just explaining how, like, trying to call, like, the support line. Have you ever tried to call Vesta or Zos through a 1-800 number or a 877 number? One of those 800 numbers? Have you ever tried calling? Maybe we'll have to go to like a 654. You know what I'm saying? Like, call 1677 and so on and so forth. And basically, the lines are usually the 800 numbers. So we do want an 800 number, and Symbian looks like the perfect cell phone networking operating system for us in Elder Scrolls. I couldn't believe it when I see this, and now that I'm talking about it, I'm realizing more how important the Engage actually is. I don't think that Nokia actually understood how important the Engage was and is. So hopefully this is going to make a lot more sense to us. I'm not for sure why Nokia actually why they discontinued the consoles, but it's assumed that they weren't there wasn't enough people. And so right now what I'm trying to communicate is the importance for us to buy an Engage, and to where we can get those games working properly, to where we can get those files transferred over. You kind of see what I'm saying? We get the pictures transmitted over. It's a great and a beautiful building block in Elder Scrolls. So hopefully you guys are understanding a little bit more about the operating system here. Looking in here, this is probably a lot of Greek to you guys. Looking in here, the Symbian system was written in C++. So this is this is a really good thing. Looks like the OS family is the EPOC Symbian system that was written in C++. The working state is going to be continued, because I do believe that that the Symbian OS should run and should continue. The initial release was June 5th of 1997. That's a long time ago. Some of you weren't even born back then, and sometimes you kind of learn a little bit about the Nokia Bella feature pack. Had two of them, but we're probably not going to be looking at Nokia very much longer, because Nokia discontinued the console. It'd be nice to speak to Nokia, but Nokia is not going to help us. Think about it. The cell phone has actually been discontinued. Do you think Nokia is really going to talk to any of us? Most likely not. And so what we have to do is we have to learn about we have to learn everything about the console just as much as we learned everything about the Steam console. Some of you don't even know that there is a Steam console. You might be just looking on the internet and you're like, hey, that is the Steam console. Hey, my PC is the Steam console. But that's not true. The Steam console is a Steam console, and the Steam console is real. Just as much as I believe the N-Gage is a real console. You see what I'm saying? I'm on the other side of the fence because I've never actually seen an N-Gage. This is going to be awesome when I do have the N-Gage working properly. This is going to be some sweet things going on there. This is a big complex thing, and getting those frequencies in, this is going to be awesome. Look at this. Have you ever thought about like how cell phones work? Of course you have. You want to make sure that the date is working. Like you want to make sure that it's like 12/17, and then you want to make sure that it's the correct date. What's the correct date of this local environment? Do you know what day it is? Do you know what date it is? Do you know what month it is? Well, I know it's the 15th of April of 2024. However, I don't think it's 12:17 p.m. It's kind of getting near what feels like 8:30 here locally, and I'm going to check the time out. However, first, before I check out the time, think about it as you look at Symbian. Look at that 12 and that 17. Right here, what this tells me is we're going to be able to build the block from Symbian here for a connection off of this picture. You see what I'm saying? When we see the time clock, we see two periods. Look at what the time clock has actually been built by Symbian, by the previous developers. Right here, in between the 12 and the 17, is where the connection point is. That's an absolute beautiful, what I consider a beautiful butterfly. That's going to be awesome. This is going to be absolutely awesome. So this is you in Elder Scrolls getting an N-Gage. You're going to want to keep your N-Gage, and you're going to want to actually talk to other people who have an N-Gage. Let's see here. Going to go back over here into Wikipedia and check out N-Gage. There we go. And so I was talking about this is kind of what the N-Gage looks like. Mine I've got like the buttons are more like the material looks like there have been some like plastic pads that have been put on mine from the pictures that I've seen. I don't literally have the physical console just yet, but of what it looks like in the picture, it looks like there has been some plastic pads that have been put on the circular. Some call it the trackpad. Some call it the gyro. Different names. But right here, of what I'm talking about, us learning about the N-Gage in its totality, this is the important thing of learning the actual design of the N-Gage. This is going to be some really fun stuff. It's going to be a complex thing. If you're just thinking Steam, this is outside of Steam thought. You see what I'm saying? Those of us in Steam are going to have to learn a different system. And kind of get it? Who likes cell phones? I do. And I want to make sure that the cell phones work. Look at what this even says. Via the N-Gage Arena service. Absolutely beautiful. So once I get the N-Gage sent here to my place, then we can start working a little bit more on what the N-Gage actually is capable of. And it shows here that there's a 2.1-inch screen. Not much to see. Where's the transferring capability? Well, it's in the cartridges, and that's why the cartridges are are more valuable than the actual console itself. The actual console is what's important. However, when you look at like what an actual monetary value is, this is one of the most expensive consoles in the world for the purpose of that the console has actually been discontinued. And so what we have to do is we have to get people involved in getting the console rebuilt. You see what I'm saying? That's why I had suggested hopefully that GOG will step in and start building the consoles. That's my hope. However, who's going to help if nobody, if somebody says, no, I don't really want to help, you can just go ask somebody else. So if GOG doesn't want to help, who else is going to help? Nokia's not going to help because they discontinued the cell phone. This is the important step to understand. If GOG does not decide to build the N-Gage, what other people are going to build the N-Gage? You see what I'm saying? We have the information here by the picture of the whole design of the N-Gage, of the console. This pretty much shows like the ins and outs of the actual like console in its total form. This is like the bare block of the actual console. This is absolutely beautiful. This is a bunch of just mumbo jumbo that is written in here about Wikipedia that means everything to us. See what I'm saying? What's a D-pad? I don't know what a D-pad is, but I'm sure it's important. What's the internet? I don't know what the internet is, but I'm sure the internet is important. So this Symbian OS thing is going to be sweet. So what are we going to say instead of Nokia 3680 or 3650? What are we going to say after Symbian OS? That this is the important process of understanding what actual people are going to actually build the console again. We have to talk to Vesta. That's the key right there. You guys are going to want to start talking to Vesta because Zeus is on the software side of Elder Scrolls, and the hardware side, think about it, Vesta is on the hardware side. Vesta knows best. So who from Vesta is gonna the Vesta buddies? Oh, the Bluetooth buddies. What about the Griffins? So this is Symbian OS 6.1. Looks like there was 6 different Symbian versions that was created. When we're looking at the earlier on in the news broadcast of the 10th version of ESO patch coming in, 10.0.0, Symbian only added on 6.1 updates. How much memory was that? So essentially, this is why Nokia really decided to go away. This is the real reason. I'm understanding this more. This will help us out in Elder Scrolls, and you'll understand why I was barking earlier about just the minor 5.3 gigabytes of memory being increased for the 10th version, the 10.0.0 version. You'll understand why I was upset earlier. This is why Nokia was actually upset. As Symbian OS 6.1 came in, what cannot occur in electronics in virtually any company is cannot go over a terabyte of memory. What happened in the Symbian OS operating system is there was zero point 0.1 gigabytes that had superseded the Symbian system, where the Symbian system was not working properly anymore. Nokia saw that. They couldn't explain everything. They understood, but they couldn't explain it at the time. Now that this information is coming out, I'm getting a little bit smarter. So um, there was just too much information that was put into the operating system, and that's why Nokia considered the N-Gage a failure. With that known, we can definitely grow the N-Gage. This is going to be a great thing. So what I'm explaining with that is the key. We're gonna get the N-Gage working. This is going to be some really fun stuff. Hopefully, hopefully castles and travels will be able to be born again. This is going to be some fun stuff. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to switch over back to castles here for you guys as we're gearing towards the end of the game. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the game night here so far, and you're learning a little bit more about the insides of Elder Scrolls. Hopefully you're having a good night. Are you ready for the soap opera to begin?